So,
Wow.
Dan, what do you do in California in the summer? Because you've been in New York, you know how muggy and hot it is.
Yeah.
Do you just suffer with no AC, or are your electric bills just crazy high?
The electrical bill doesn't get. It gets obviously it's more expensive than it is when it's just a temperate weather system, but like it's not too bad. Part of that is just Sacramento has like a municipal power company, so like basically like citizens of Sacramento co-own our power company.
That is so fucking awesome.
Yeah, so like, rates are pretty manageable, which is nice. But also, every house here is outfitted with an HVAC system, and so everywhere you go is built to withstand the heat. So it's if you go somewhere, obviously not outside, but if you go to a building or go to business somewhere, it's going to be cool. And so you just and then there's you acclimatize to an extent. Luckily, we do get a bit not like back east where the humidity was. The word I always used to describe it was fucking biblical, man. This is like what they and like we're next to a major river here, so we get some humidity, but nothing like back east. But it's I hate to sound as cliche as possible. It's a dry heat.
It's a dry heat.
So like there's you just feel like you're cooking. You're not drenched as you always are. So it's not too bad. Mostly because also we spent fucking $18,000 on the most efficient and powerful HVAC system we could afford, and so that's a worthy fucking investment. So it's
see
nice.
where I live in Southern California, like we were a coastal city, and so like during the summertime, like you definitely got some heat, but the ocean is a great regulator there.
Yep.
But I had tons of family who lived in Thousand Oaks, which is like you go up to the Conejo grade and you're basically just on a hot plate up there. And it's astonishing how much of a difference like a 45-minute drive makes, because where I live, unless it was like very new construction, basically nobody had central air. Nobody even had window units. Like you just didn't really need them. And then you go up to Thousand Oaks and it's like literally every house has AC or central air. Every apartment complex has multiple pools in it, like because they'll die. They'll just die up there.
Yeah. So that's where I grew up. I grew up near the coast, and so my mom didn't get an AC unit until 7 years ago. It was before COVID. I was like, but I think we had a furnace, so like for the cold times. But even then, it was it's freezing. It's 50. But,
got to break out my long sleeve shirt.
But
well, guys, speaking of hot, you know what's hot?
What?
Hell.
Your mom. Okay, shit.
Great.
Oh,
great. Thank you. And speaking of hell, this is the Text Adventure podcast from the Text Adventure Book Club, where we read books about video games. And this month's book is Masters of Doom by David Kushner, the guitarist from Velvet Revolver. Did you guys know this?
Wait, really?
No? What?
Yeah, look it up.
I will. Fact checking on the fly here.
Yeah.
So the book Masters
is he related to Jared?
Here, man.
So the book Masters of Doom is our discussion for this month. I am your host, Chris. I am joined by the dulcet tones of Proud Papa, Rock Clausen.
Oh, hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me. It's lovely to be here.
It's lovely to have you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Your sweet snoring baby in the other room.
Yep. She's sound asleep mostly. Yeah.
And we're also
I just got back from my tour. So, I'm sorry.
Your tour of duty?
No. I mean, we can go into it now if you want. We can go into it later. It's fine. We don't have to talk about it.
Well, let me introduce Dan, and then we'll go back into it. We'll jump into your tour. We're also joined by Dan Bethel, the pride of California.
That's what they call me. Hey, San Francisco is only an hour and a half away.
Hey, no judgy, You
know what they say, the hottest, coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco.
That is what they say. Often.
They say that. Yeah. They say that.
Who says that? Who?
Them.
John Romero.
Rock, tell us about your tour of duty.
Oh, no. I mean, it was nothing crazy. Just, I had... I was doing some stuff on the stage in the Tri-City area, colleges mostly. it was another in the Stanley Cavendish series.
Did you? So at the end of your show, at least the ones I've caught.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's part of the performance or not.
Mm-hmm.
But they get that big hook comes from the side of the stage. Is that pre-planned or is that just organic? Is that something that's really happening?
No, that is not planned at all.
Okay.
We kind of with the hosting body, we kind of let them we kind of tell them up front, like, hey, you know what, if you want to get a little wild at the beginning or the end, like, go for it. That's up to you. If you want to just at random just drop some confetti from the ceiling, you want to drag me off with a hook, you want to bring on a saxophonist just go, it's fine. Like it's the show is a serious show, but we just kind of let people go crazy with it. So really big at some colleges, in the Tri-City area.
It's experimental.
We did one show for the University of Phoenix, so that was all over Zoom. Go Trojans! But it was good. It's called Death Firm. Subtitle Revenge is a Cavendish best served cold. Stanley, mild-mannered detective from Los Angeles, mistakenly invited to his ex's Hanukkah party, her workplace in New York City. So he goes, and while there, the party's crashed by some Swiss terrorists who. Stanley has to make it through the night, basically.
And if our audience wants to catch a performance, what is the coupon code they can use?
It's coupon code Stanley69.
Okay.
That is a reference to something that happens in the show. I won't go into too much detail, but it is graphic, and that's about a half hour. So
that confirms to me that it is indeed a romantasy.
I mean, listen, during a robbery, passions are high, and passion is passion. It cuts both ways, and sometimes you don't know if it's going to go left or it's going to go right. And Stanley, he's keyed into the moment, and he goes where it takes him.
Sounds like he learns a lot.
Yeah, he really does. Yeah.
And just so the audience knows, not only is there a age floor, you have to be at least 18, but you also can't be over 57 years old.
Oh shit!
No. It is not for the faint of heart. I will tell you that.
Due to insurance reasons.
Yeah, exactly. We can't have another Tempe. That's
because the seats are electrified, right? for added immersion.
It's like an immersive experience. You got electrified chairs. You've got M80s going off in the rafters.
It's an assault on the senses, I think they called it in one of the reviews I saw.
Yeah, one review said it was an assault on the senses. One review that I thought was really interesting actually referred to me as the Roy Orbison of community theater. I don't really know what that means, but I'll take it.
He was insinuating that you were dead.
I think it's because of the glasses.
Or he's hoping I die of a heart attack. I don't know, but Sorry to go off on a tangent. But,
it sounds like you're real busy, so I'm glad you cut out time to come to the show for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no problem.
In like 45 minutes, right?
yeah. I gotta go back on. It's our fourth show of the night. So.
It's the dinner show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, only serve kielbasa. So
I was gonna say steakums. Everybody gets one dry steakum on a plate. There's been some budget cuts. It's
half a Dixie cup of water.
It's bad.
M80s take up a lot of the budget, apparently.
It's the M80s and it's the insurance, actually. Yeah. The insurance costs more than all of the other actors' fees combined. So.
Sure. Yeah, gotta be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Safety first.
Speaking of safety first, Dan Bethel. Can you tell me your experience with Doom or id Software?
Yeah. I was never a PC gamer first. I was always a console gamer. But I remember when I got my first PC, that wasn't the Commodore 64 I didn't know how to use. I remember right after we got I went to a friend of mine who was who played a lot of games on the computer. He's like, "What game?" I'm like, "What game should I buy?" I came home with SimCity and Police Quest 3. But that aside, it did introduce me to sort of that shareware culture of meeting up with friends. Like, "Oh, Dan, you have a PC now?" Like, and they just hand me a disc with like, "Play this game. It's super cool." And so I was introduced to a lot of games that way. And so that's where I actually came across Doom the first time. Someone just gave me disc, and I get home, I'm like, "What's this?" And it was insane. I think I played Doom before I played Wolfenstein 3D. I think I definitely saw someone play Wolfenstein 3D. I'd heard about Wolfenstein 3D, but that was, I think, for me, because again, being mainly a console gamer, the work of id definitely was sort of mythical, because I mostly heard people talking about it simply because I didn't play games on my computer. Sure. But it was around that time also I was visiting a friend of my family down in San Diego, and this kid was a super computer player nerd, and he's like, "Oh, you're a console gamer? You should see a real platformer." And he showed me Commander Keen, and I was unimpressed completely. But I didn't put it together that id was kind of multifaceted in a lot of ways, and until reading so much later, and even more impressed with how interwoven it is with sort of the growth of the computer game industry. Until I read this book, it's a really interesting story, and so mostly tangential. And I guess the most direct kind of gameplay or experience I've had with id has actually been those new Wolfenstein games made by Machine Games, a subsidiary of id.
Oh, those are so good.
Super good.
And I just want to clarify, when you say disc, you mean floppy disk?
Floppy disk. Maybe even... Yeah, it was probably three. Was it 3 1/4? Is that what that was?
3 3/4. Don't copy that floppy.
Don't copy.
So, Rock, what about you? What are your experience with id Software games?
So actually, mine went kind of chronologically, to be honest with you. I first experienced id Software at a friend's house. He had some Commander Keen. I don't know which one, but he had a Commander Keen game. I had never heard of it. I had never seen it before. Played it for about 20 minutes and thought it was really fucking boring. I seriously, and at that point I was like maybe 6 or 7, and I remember being like, "Wow, this is not a fun game, like, at all." And and then I know, and yeah, I a little while later experienced Wolfenstein. I think I actually first played Wolfenstein on Super Nintendo.
And that's crazy.
Yeah. And that was great. I remember that might have been the first person shooter I ever played. It was either that or Star Wars Dark Forces. And which I think was actually built on the Doom engine. And and then a couple years later, I played Doom for the first time, and I remember going really hard with Doom. I was really into that. I remember, I think on an earlier episode of the show, I mentioned that I had the novels, like the novels based in the Doom universe.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I really enjoyed Doom. I haven't really played the new crop of Doom games. I started Doom 2016, but I kind of bounced off of it, to be honest with you.
Really?
And yeah, the gameplay itself just didn't really grab me. I don't like those kind of like super fast paced shooters like that. It's just not fun for me to constantly be like flooring it, you know?
Yeah,
so,
that new Doom,
but yeah,
super fast.
Yeah. But yeah, I've played a ton of id games, like thinking back on it, you know. I think there are very few of their games that I haven't played.
Yeah. And listeners, you can't see us because we're all here in the studio together, but like Rock's a big Doom fan. He's got a full body tattoo of a cacodemon, just all up and down. It's just like the face of the cacodemon is tattooed over his own face. It's pretty intense. So when he says you love
even
Doom,
crazier.
Yeah.
But even crazier than that, the cacodemon tattoo on my face has a Quake logo tattoo on its face. So
because you can put it somewhere. You can put it somewhere. Yeah.
Exactly.
What about you, Chris? What's your id experience?
So I think I told the story on this show before, but almost at the exact same time, my dad bought the family computer, which was a Packard Bell.
Nice.
A beige box, which I think came from Sam's Club, which was the Walmart version of BJ's.
Or
This is
Costco.
the most metal story so far, man.
I remember this very distinctly. The computers were right when you walked in the front of the Sam's Club, because that was probably where they made the most of their money.
Sure.
And PCs were the hot new thing. And to the left was a whole wall of PC games, but they weren't in traditional PC game boxes, like those big boxes.
Mm-hmm.
They were like these long cardboard things that had shrink wrap over them, and it was just a bunch of loose CDs and floppy disks and stuff that you could like buy for $50 or whatever.
Are you sure you wanted to swap meet?
I don't know. They could have put me anywhere. So we got this big batch of cheap budget computer games.
Yeah.
And in that was Doom and Wolfenstein 3D.
Oh,
and a bunch of those kind of early Police Quest, SimCity, all those sort of things were in all those shareware games. I never played Commander Keen. I had never even seen Commander Keen until I read this book and looked up video play of it just to see what it looked like. And that is not impressive in the big 2.6. There's not even any music in that game. It's just like the most video game in a movie type sound you've ever heard in your life.
Yep.
Where it's like, boop, beep, boop. So yeah, that wouldn't have impressed me, but Wolfenstein 3D was awesome.
Yeah,
and it is kind of combined in my mind with that Windows screensaver. Do you know the one where it's like a brick maze?
Yes. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of my memories of Wolfenstein 3D are also that maze screensaver. I'm not sure if it was built on that engine or what, but yeah, played tons of that. Played a lot of Doom, but Doom was much harder for me for some reason. As a kid, I could never really progress that far into the game, but my dad put so many hours into Doom, which was we had a raised ranch house, and the computer room was in the bottom floor, and all the bedrooms and the living room was upstairs. And my dad would just be downstairs late at night in the dark, except the glow of the CRT PC monitor, playing Doom for hours. And he would get so locked into playing Doom that my mom would make him turn it off and come up to bed at some point. But he couldn't see when he walked away from the computer because he had gotten like tunnel vision or like some sort of like vision. So like everything was like pulsing in his peripheral vision, and he was like night blind. So my mom had to put a stop to my dad's Doom addiction after a couple weeks.
It's always a tragedy when the parents have to, when the kids have to parent the parents, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But
it was too far when he thought she was an imp and he tried to like body slam her through a window.
They also found imps incredibly attractive, which was kind of also at odds with everything.
So I've seen those first levels of the original Doom hundreds and hundreds of times. But beyond that, I never played Doom 2 or 3 or Quake or any of those games. PC gaming had kind of left me behind at that point. I went to consoles and never really picked up many of those games. So the book we're reading, Masters of Doom, is about the founding and the history of id Software, and kind of focuses on the two main dudes from id Software, John Carmack and John Romero. And right off the bat, this book is fantastic, and I think is instantly my number one favorite of the books that we've read for this.
Why?
So good.
What really stood out about it? Obviously, we're going to get into details here, but like that's a powerful statement because you've read a handful of books now, and and most of them very, very good in different ways. Like, so what is it about this one that really pushes it to the front for you?
I thought that there's no fat in this book.
Nope.
Right.
And the only thing that I kind of skipped past was at the very, very end, which we'll get to. I thought that everything seemed incredibly well researched, and it seemed like it had iterated on itself so many times that it was like propulsive. You were just kind of reading and going and going and going. And I kind of read this in like 3 big spurts because I just found myself wanting to keep going. Even though I kind of knew the big beats of the history of id and their games, I thought that the amount of interviews that the author was able to get incredibly accessible, even explaining things about graphic engines that you could easily get bogged down in.
Right.
I thought that this book was written in such a way to engage the audience in a way that kept moving. And I feel like it was almost kind of in honor of the quick movement of Doom itself.
Sure.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, like one of the main points of Doom was that it was running at 70 frames per second, they said?
Yeah, at its peak, it was running at 70 frames per second. It's crazy.
And you were just going. And I felt like this book just kept going too. And maybe that's a little bit because so much was happening in so short of time.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Beatles' career.
yeah, actually, that's a really good. I mean, I think most people, when they think of Carmack and Romero, they definitely think the Beatles of video games. That's
Wow. Oh
and
my God.
Every Beatles record happened in 7 years, right? 62 to 69.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
And that's almost exactly the heyday of id too, right? Like, 91 to 98.
What's id's White Album? Probably Quake.
I was gonna say Quake Arena.
I was gonna say Doom 2 is probably their Sgt. Pepper, but
okay. Let's get sidetracked by this conversation.
Let's just talk about the Beatles.
So it's interesting because early on, as I was reading this book, I was a little nervous.
Really?
Because it's really well written. That's undeniable. But it does one of the things that I really don't like in a lot of
I know what you're going to say.
Pop history books. Yeah, this is the
fake dialogue, right?
Right, the dialogue. And so I really encountered this most when I was reading Console Wars, which I absolutely hated. It took me 5 fucking years to read that book. Maybe, I think so, but it's been 100 years or 5 months. But it's one thing I started making notes of early on. I'm like, look at all these unsighted conversations. But then I read that he was doing these interviews for Kushner was doing these interviews for 5 years. And so he is cobbling these conversations together, which I'm guessing he was recording from what everybody was saying. And sure, it's still not going to be probably exactly what was said, but it's probably as close as he could possibly get. I think he's doing good journalism here. And so I was able to kind of look over it. And again, it was so well written and so interesting, and obviously so well researched, with the huge section of the notes in the back of the book. It was easily overlooked from my part. So I was a little skeptical, but then it was such an interesting story. These characters, for lack of a better word, are so interesting, and just the Carmack and Romero are just characters to build a book around, and he does a really good job of telling that story. Yeah,
it's funny that you say characters, and I agree with you about creative nonfiction can sometimes kill a book. It has killed many books for me. The characters, everybody in this book, you're introduced to people. It's like Star Wars, right? A new Glup Shido comes in every chapter. You're
story of my life.
You're like, oh, it hired this new kid. Well, and it's American McGee. I had no idea American McGee started working at id Software, but he's just one of those names that you know.
That's the thing. I kept getting just sort of what do you call it? Blindsided by all of a sudden Apogee's a part of this. I'm like, what the fuck? And it looks like American McGee, and having the whole thing where they made the first level of Super Mario Brothers 3 and actually had conversations with Nintendo. I'm like, what's happening? It was so much. Going back to what I was saying earlier, I was really surprised at kind of how id is literally kind of in the middle of the knot of computer gaming in the late 80s, early 90s. It is touching everything in a weird, interesting way. And
if there's a Mount Rushmore of PC gaming, I think both of the Johns have to be on it.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure,
definitely. Yeah, I thought that, like you guys said, I think that the pace was perfect on this book. It kept going, and to Dan's point, the technical side of it, I thought was really fascinating, because they go just deep enough that you're getting enough information, but they don't dig too deep that they start to lose you. I feel like anybody who has an interest in this stuff would follow this no problem from a technical side. They give you just enough so you kind of appreciate the depth. And then they kind of keep moving on. I thought that it was it was fascinating. Like you guys said, I mean, just knowing I knew parts of this story just because it's such a story, seeing just how widely they spread and how quickly they did it even, way back in the very early days, like you guys said, like, yeah, they were connected to like Apogee and Eidos and
Right.
what the fuck? Like, yeah, incredible. It's definitely, so far of the books that I've been able to partake of for this podcast, it's far and away my favorite one. It's incredible.
Yeah, and just so before we dive into specifics, like to build on what you said, like how they were just so ensconced in the entire, like they're just touching every aspect of computer gaming, and they were babies.
Yeah.
They were like 22. Like what
Yeah.
the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about this later, I'm sure. But like I'm reading this book, and sometimes Romero and Carmack are painted almost kind of like, not mythical figures, but definitely as caricatures in a way. Like Carmack's the one that's hunched over, drinking his Diet Pepsi and coding, and looking like Chris's dad playing Doom at the middle of the night. And when Romero's like the rock star guy. But then like I look up the picture, I'm like, oh, they're children. Like they're just nerds. They're just young nerds just thrown into fame and success and
but
just trying to
also,
navigate that world. Yeah.
Carmack and Romero have been those caricatures for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
Like being a kid
Absolutely.
or teenager reading about those guys, you always hear about long hair John Romero, who's driving sports cars, and John Carmack, who looks like Bill Gates.
Yeah.
And just comes up with crazy, great game engines every time they start.
Yeah.
And also, you say they're babies. I just want to say once again, all of the Beatles were in their 20s when the Beatles broke up.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, raise your hand if anybody here has been made John Romero's bitch.
Oh my God.
You want to try that again?
Raise your hand if anybody here has been made John Romero's bitch. No?
I have not.
I remember seeing those ads when I was like, when they were happening. And I just remember going like, why does John Romero want to make me his bitch? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. What is this? Like, what the fuck? Because like that line was like front and center in those ads. It wasn't until you get like way down near the bottom that it's like Daikatana. So I remember like, wait, what is this even an ad for right now? Is this just an ad for John Romero being hostile?
I mean, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Because the second line of the ad is famously "Suck it down."
Suck it down.
Yep, suck it down. Yep.
What a fucking dickhead. Sorry,
that's way at the end of this book now.
Right. I know.
So one question I had going into this, because it kept piquing my interest as I was reading it. I'd like to hear from both of you. Mm-hmm. Do you feel this book had a bias towards either Romero or Carmack at any point? And if so, who and why, do you think?
So I felt that the book was pretty obviously built on a lot of the interviews with the underlings. Mm-hmm. And I don't say that derogatory, but it's probably easier to get people who were lower level employees in. And I feel like no matter what your job is, you're always going to be a little bit spiteful of your boss, right?
Sure.
You're always going to be kind of critical of your boss. And I feel like that was just kind of a byproduct of, the interview style and the self mythologization.
Nailed it.
Of John Romero specifically. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even if he came off great, you would just feel like, oh, of course this fucking asshole thinks he's great, right?
Yeah.
So I think Masters of Doom definitely made the Johns into the antagonists.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
But I feel like they both ended up looking equally bad at certain points. Mm-hmm. My personal feelings, and just from, the life I've lived and working for people, I feel like I've definitely experienced both styles of management. Mm-hmm. And it would probably be easier to work for John Romero.
Probably.
But you would probably be more, and they were more successful with a John Carmack style guy. But I don't think either one of them comes out looking particularly great in this book.
No, I think you're right. I mean, it's hard because, like, just to go back to the question of bias, it's like, okay, to my mind, I think that, and a bit of this is my own bias. To my mind, John Romero comes off looking a lot worse than John Carmack does. Just like big picture, he comes off looking a lot worse. And it's like, okay, well, is that because of the bias of the people who were interviewed? Is it because of the bias of the author? Or is it because John Romero sucks and just behaved badly more, so he looks worse? But then you see situations in, on John Carmack's side where, I think it was American McGee, when they're firing him, he's like, John Carmack's like, okay, well, just productivity wise, you're just not like up to the level. And when American McGee points out, like, hey, what are you talking about? Like, I've been more productive than John Romero has. Like, I've been more productive than XYZ. John Carmack just goes, well, actually, just nobody likes you. and you're still fired. Like, it doesn't really matter like what you say to me. Like, so it's like, okay, well, like, what a dickhead thing to say to American McGee, who's probably like 21 at this point, this like bright-eyed kid, like, sorry, just nobody likes you, whether or not that's true. Like, what a shitty thing but that's just John Carmack not knowing how to interact with people, like, he just, I don't know, Dan, what do you think about the bias?
As I was reading, I felt like there might have been a bit more tilt towards Romero in this book. Like, I felt like we're getting a lot more of him.
Better or worse?
More. I would just say more well-rounded, more fully realized as a character. And then I realized it's probably because Romero loves talking about himself,
right?
And he probably got a lot more from Romero than he did from Carmack. But what I thought was really interesting about the book with regard to those two is that it really is a tale of a friendship. Like, it's fascinating how much Carmack and Romero stuck up for each other in those early days before it started falling apart. Like, they would always just default, like, no, Carmack's right, or no, Romero's right, we're going to do that. And there was that hot minute when, kind of going back to the Beatles metaphor here, is like when things were just there was enough tension to breed creativity, and that creativity bred genius. And unfortunately, just like with the Beatles, it can't last forever. And,
it's a Lennon and McCartney.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So I just want to jump in and ask you guys, I had always had this, and I don't know where I got it from, but as I was reading this book, I came up with different game titles and people. I would kind of Google them just to look at, get a visual image of what these guys look like and blah, blah, blah. And American McGee, I always just thought he was like Tim Burton. Did anybody else feel like this? And I don't know why I had that impression.
It's because
I didn't know he was, I didn't know he was a real person. Like, like American McGee, that's not a name. I thought that was maybe the name of the studio or something. Yeah. But yeah, I'm like, oh, this is a dude. And then I looked him up, and he just looked like a skinny emo kid. So
right, but okay, the Alice thing would definitely probably what it was that was making me think that. Well before American McGee and all that. So jumping back to the early days of id, before American McGee and before the egos, Carmack and Romero were just two kids who loved computer games and were kind of ostracized from their families and their schoolmates because they were one of the earliest like hacker kind of guys, right?
Yeah.
And id started as kind of a clandestine operation within another company, which I thought was pretty punk rock.
It was cool. Yeah.
Like they would do their side work on the other company's computers, and then eventually they got brazen enough to bring the computers home at night. Yeah,
like literally absconding them in the middle of the night into the back of their cars, and that's pretty cool. What was the name of that company? It was like,
was that Softdisk?
That was.
Yes,
I was thinking Softdisk, but that sounds just like a porno. So. And that whole aspect was super cool because it really is a nice window into PC gaming at that point. With the whole, like, I was just confused. I'm like, what do they mean, like a disc magazine or something, like a disc subscription? So I had to, putting down the book to go look this shit up, and like, literally mailing out discs every month or something like that with 7 games on it that they would have been made within that time frame. It's fascinating, just ecosystem of how computer games worked back then.
And they were churning out new games every month,
which
is insane. So they would steal these computers and go back, and they owned this like house together. That was
the beach house. Yeah,
it was on a
lake house,
waterfront, and they had a boat and shit. And like these kids were 19, 20 years old and just absolutely living the lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Just living their best lives out there.
You can see how your ego would get inflated being that young, that successful, and having that kind of lifestyle.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of a miracle that they were able to put out the games that they did when they did, because they easily could have turned into the full-time debauchery.
Well, I think they would go down the completely down the road of rock stars. I don't think a lot of ladies would be coming over. Oh, actually, there's a whole scene where like the girlfriends are coming over. It's like, why won't they come home and have sex with us? It's like they're a bunch of fucking nerds.
Yeah. They just get so successful with Commander Keen and Wolfenstein that they kind of just are like, fuck it, we'll just make our own company. And I was wondering what you guys thought about the early days, the Lake House days. Do you think that it could ever be video game development could get back to that, because it's so far removed from that these days?
That's a really good question.
Every game costs $100 million, has a huge team of 200 people that just churns and spits out, whereas these guys were creating games every month, every 2 months, and their team was like 6 people at the most. And they were massively successful too in creating big franchises with teams like that. And now we see how video games are, and
I think one of the things that makes it unique to its time that I don't know if it can be replicated, or if it is replicated, it's not going to be in video games, I don't think. Which is, especially in the case of John Carmack, and I guess I should always iterate or make clear I'm talking about John Carmack, because there's also Adrian Carmack, no relation, the artist for id. But what was fascinating in those early days is that it's not that they're just making games. Carmack is making the engines for these games. Like, they're not licensing, they're actually just literally developing the game from the ground up. And that becomes sort of the story of id. Was like every major release is the next iteration of John Carmack's engine. That he's is it the id engine or something like that?
It's just called id Tech.
id Tech. There we go. Yeah, and that's something that I was really interested in, because in a lot of none of the previous books that we've read, they really talk about developing engines, which is the crux of making a game, right? And most people now just license that stuff. So with the availability of a lot of sort of cheap but effective engines, like there's Unreal, of course. There's oh god, I should have done my research. Unity, that's the big one. Yeah, they were low cost and fairly user friendly. This, I mean, what's like the biggest grassroots success I can think of in the last 10 years? Maybe like Flappy Bird, but like that's a guy that just made a silly game. But like these guys are actually making the technology as well.
And the thing
so
is
they're in complete control of the work they make, and that's, I think, is what makes it unique to that time and place. That can in a modern environment with video games, can that level of control exist anymore? I don't know, because especially considering how video games are so spread across different platforms, from PC to mobile to Nintendo to obviously the big two consoles. Like, make sure a game runs everywhere. Either if you're developing it from the ground up, you got a lot of work to do to make sure you can port to any platform you want, or you license an existing engine that pretty much guarantees that it'll work in every major marketplace. So I don't know if that will have this level of a success, like grassroots success again in video games, but maybe in more nascent, sort of burgeoning industries, definitely.
And consider that the technology was so new that John Carmack was literally reading books about how to program in order to learn new tricks for his game engines that he would then go and write. Like, he was still learning coding and different ways of applying polygons and physics and stuff, and then immediately going and applying those to the id Tech that he was working on. And he was like figuring stuff out that was groundbreaking, and he was doing it every single time.
As I'm listening to them talking about colored lighting, I actually remember, this is quite a while, this is back probably like 1996-ish, 95-ish. I remember actually watching videos about, like, specifically talking about colored lighting and using Quake as an example, and kind of showing just how revolutionary this engine was. Like, oh, watch, as you fire this, this energy shot, it travels down the hallway. And if you have, an OpenGL graphics card, you can actually see the light move with it. And if you move up close to the wall, this is what the texture looks like if you have this kind of graphics. And I remember watching this just like, holy shit, like this is what games can do. Like, it's just amazing. Just amazing. It became well, and that was something that was really cool that it did for a while. Was they basically every time they came out with a new game, they were doing something in that game that had not been done before. They were all, for a while anyway, they were every time introducing new technology and new techniques and new things that people hadn't seen before. And that was part of what made id so special to me. I think it is that they were constantly innovating, and they were constantly they were on like the bleeding edge of the technology for a while anyway. I think that's not so much the case anymore, but it was for a really long time. Everybody else was kind of following id's lead for a long time.
Yeah, I think the good example of that goes back to these early days, because even though I don't want to say it, it was John Carmack's discovery of how to do smooth side scrolling. That, like, obviously, like, that already existed on the Nintendo, but that had never been seen before on a PC. But the way that Kushner wrote that moment was so gripping that I was like cheering. Basically, when Romero comes in and sees a floppy disk on his desk, he was like, "Oh, look, another demo. Let's check this out." And he screamed, and he sat everybody down when they came in the morning, going like, I think that was the moment he's like, we got to go make our own company, because this is something that is unique. This is something that has never been done before. This is something that we can build on, and it's just mind blowing that John Carmack kept making discoveries, kept actually pushing forward the medium with every subsequent game for the next handful of years. It's crazy to have that level of just success and innovation, and seemingly not showing any sort of diminishing ability, or sort of getting high on his own supply and just relishing in the fame. Right? He just was head down. Like, what can I do that's not being done right now? And he always seemed to have a good view of what needed to be done and actually taking it there. That's his skill and talent can't be oversold. Yes,
he always seemed to back his shit up, whereas perhaps the other John could not.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the notes I wrote. Like, their friendship is sown by the fact that they're different, right? One is more. I mean, they're both creative, but creative in different ways. Where John is the game. Well, sorry, Romero is the gamer, and Carmack is the developer. And with their powers combined, they can make this incredible gaming experience for people that love playing games. But yeah, with the piling on of success and the inflation of respective egos, it does kind of come down to like, well, John Carmack's actually making this shit happen. Yeah. Like, we can't do what we do without him. And Romero's like, don't forget, I'm half this equation, and you can't deny his impact. His influence was super important. That was there in the beginning of the relationship just kind of fell away, and it probably does come down to ego. Bottle. Yeah, for sure.
I kind of got the impression that John Carmack. I don't know how I want to frame it. Obviously, Doom and Wolfenstein could not have happened except if John Carmack and John Romero were working together.
Right.
But John Carmack was such a genius that he would have produced something. Whereas I'm not sure if a Carmack-less Romero would have had the same success.
Yeah.
And I think that point ended up being proven out.
Yeah.
That, Romero was kind of the ideas guy, and Carmack was the mechanic. And just the fact that video games are what they are, John Carmack probably would have gone further in his career without Romero, if that was the way that things shook out. Well, yeah.
Sorry.
No, just he carried on and just kept on doing what he wanted to do. Just he kept on working on engines. He kept on making games, and they kept on being very, very successful. Yeah. And we'll get to Romero, but I have like a thing there. But yeah, I think that you can have an ideas guy, but if he doesn't have the discipline to back it up, if he doesn't have the skill to back it up, all he is an ideas guy. Where John Romero, or John Carmack rather, not so much an ideas guy, but he has the skills.
Yeah,
he has the talent.
Ideas
he can
in
make
a different
the shit
direction. Yeah.
He can make something. He doesn't. He doesn't need someone else to be able to like make the thing. He can just make the thing.
Right.
John Romero can't do that.
That's also where I think Chris was alluding to this, where if John Carmack had not met John Romero at that time, yes, he might have developed that tech, but would it have been Wolfenstein 3D?
Right.
Because it's shooting Nazis. That also made that huge, right? He might have made the perfect, smooth, very quick first-person engine. But if he just stayed at soft disk and like, let's make this about dolphins or some shit, right? Like it could have been a low key impact on the industry. But
or he could have just been another faceless programmer at Microsoft or Apple or something.
Right.
You probably never know his name.
And there's no doubt he would have had a long career. Either way, right? But like there is something about John Romero's drawing people getting murdered in the margins of his class school notes.
Oh my god!
That put on layered on top of like that's the thing that was new that Romero was bringing to it, like tastelessness and not being afraid to just be disgusting, right? And obviously, as is mentioned later in the book, but like the whole like Columbine stuff and the witch hunt for placing blame on video games and stuff like that. Definitely more due to Romero than to Carmack. But
sure.
Kind of what Chris said, like in the bottle, these two creative minds intersecting is what both elevated them both. Carmack,
you don't get Doom without both of them,
right? And Carmack made them. It's probably more due to his maybe undiagnosed autism than anything else, but like made the more solid choice to continue his longevity by like, well, I'm just going to keep developing. Whereas Romero's like, hey, I'm going to enjoy being famous for a minute,
right?
And it turned out to be longer than a minute and probably bit him in the ass in the long run. But
John Carmack like always struck as like, I don't want to be famous. Like I just want to make games. I just want to work on stuff. Like kind of a little bit like leave me alone. I just want to do this. Sure. This is the work I want to do. I don't need to be famous. Let John Romero be the famous guy. I don't care. And he I mean to go back to what you were saying, Dan, about John Romero's drawings, his violent drawings in his book. I was taken back to an earlier discussion that we had about growing up in the zero tolerance post Columbine days, and I just remember thinking about that, just like, oh my Lord, I would have been arrested if I did that. Where like his teacher was just like, oh, this is pretty dark, you get a B+. It's like, no, I would have been fucking arrested because that was just the time. That was just the era that I grew up in.
Yeah.
But just hearing that his teacher was just kind of like, oh, cool, all right, yeah, sure. Maybe don't be so violent next time. Like, wow.
Dan, you talked about bias in the book and, making John Romero kind of seem like a rock star asshole. I don't know if it's like something within me or whatever, but like, I feel like you want to be like, oh, John Romero, you fucking asshole with your fucking cars and your long hair and your 6 marriages. But there's nothing wrong with being a genius and making a ton of money and enjoying that money.
Yeah.
And I felt like at times the book made like a moral judgment against Romero and a little bit Carmack too, for like going out and buying Ferraris and, spending that money. But like, fuck it, man, you can't take it with you,
No, I was gonna say it seemed to bring up bias again. I read it slightly differently as far as Carmack is concerned, because to me it felt like every time Carmack like bought a new Ferrari or something like that, it to me it felt like the author was kind of just giving him a pass, just kind of like, yeah, he's a mechanic. This is what he likes to do. He likes fast cars, like no big deal. He like, of course he's going to buy a fast car. Where every time Romero did something, it kind of seemed like there was a little bit of stank on it, the way they were describing the way it was done, where with Carmack, it was like very straightforward, just like, yeah, he's a mechanic, he likes cars, he's going to buy a fast car. With Romero, it was always like, oh yeah, no, he's a fucking moron, and this is the dumb shit he did.
It's so interesting. Yeah, because my read throughout the book, I felt like Kushner wasn't actually judging either of them with any particular harshness. I think it was presenting them pretty soberly and accurately. Well,
and again, like I'm sorry to jump in, but again, that to me makes me wonder about the point that I raised earlier. And when we're talking about bias, where it kind of plays John Romero off a certain way and Carmack a certain way, is that because John Carmack just behaves is portraying John Carmack's buying sports cars, is portraying it as just this kind of positive thing that a mechanic does because that's kind of just how it happened, and is John Romero being portrayed as being a dumbass who doesn't know what to do with his money? Is it because John Romero acted like a dumbass who didn't know what to do with his money? Like,
that's the thing.
I'm not asking you a rhetorical question. Like I'm genuinely trying to like dig into like, where is the bias,
So well, I think bias, I meant just more like how much attention he was giving to each person. Like I felt like we got much more of a view into Romero's life and the intricacies, the failures and the successes than we did I felt like anytime he was talking about Carmack, he was either up all night in the office or shooting rockets. I don't know, again, I think part of that was more like just Romero's probably more forthcoming about. Also, he said that Romero just also kept everything, and so it was like a trove you could go into for historical artifacts. But the thing is, like, I came away from the book finding Romero really interesting, and like he's a huge nerd, but also destructive, literally. Like just the whole era of them just breaking keyboards because they got excited, and nihilistic to an extent, but also. But he's able to be destructive and nihilistic because he's so fucking rich at that time. But like, I also felt like even though he was the kind of the rock star of the company, there is an aspect that I didn't feel, maybe not until towards the end with the Ion Storm stuff. I didn't get the sense that he was super egocentric. He just liked having fun. Like there's a great quote in the book from in my book at page 173 where it says Romero had been the company's biggest cheerleader since the beginning. When he hyped the company, it wasn't merely the hype of the owner or of an owner. It was the hype of id's biggest fan. Like he was just excitement personified.
Not only was he the biggest fan, he was John Carmack's biggest fan.
Yeah,
and that didn't even change.
Really good point. Yeah,
that didn't change once they split up either, because they kept hooking up together, hanging out. Yeah, and John Romero would always be like, "Dude, this fucking shit that John Carmack's doing is gonna blow your tits off. It's gonna make you. It's gonna make you Carmack's bitch."
I think he always respected John Carmack, even after the split. He just couldn't work with him anymore,
right?
Which is not the same thing, Like you can respect the hell out of somebody's talent and their skill, but also know, like, I will never fucking work with that guy again.
Right,
and I think it goes back a lot to how young they were too. I mean, do you want to hang out with a lot of the people you were friends with, and when you were 20, 21?
Right.
Yes.
But I think also that also kind of paints Carmack in a slightly negative light, because especially as the book went forward, his again undiagnosed autism from with these people, but like you're not doing any work. He's like, well, yeah, I'm not working 15 hours a day overnight staring at a computer screen. I'm going home. And like that's part of the problem. Maybe I'm reading into that, but like again, and I don't think there's a particular villain in this story. It's just they grew apart. They grew up and they grew apart, and they wanted to do different things, right? But Romero, he reminded me a lot of friends I had in high school. These these like self-destructive, like I don't give a shit kind of nihilistic suburban upper middle class, confusing comfort with numbness.
Yeah.
And Romero kind of is, he had a troubled childhood, but like he was kind of exactly that kind of kid. I would have been hanging out with him going like, there'd definitely be a point where like, I don't want to hang out with him anymore. But that sort of there's that heavy metal, fuck everybody kind of aspect of him, but there's there's an underlying just thread that never goes away of optimism, hopefulness, or just hope, I guess is the word, that always kept me kind of on his side throughout the entire book, but never to the point of like, oh yeah, no, you are being a dick here, Romero. And to the point where there's many points throughout the book I'm like, Carmack, calm the fuck down. Like, not everybody's going to be as into just coding for 23 hours straight as you are.
I don't think anybody came across as a dick in totality, but I mean, everybody's going to break a point after working as quick and as hard as they did.
Yeah.
But I think there are definite points where you'd be like, oh, this was, and it's the hindsight 2020. Like, oh, this is a total fucking. This is a bad choice that you made here to fire this person. For this reason, or to lease this piece of real estate. It seems easy in 20 years later, 30 years later, looking back, being like, oh, this was probably where it started to go downhill. Yeah. But I'm sure in the moment, John Romero didn't feel like, I'm about to go fuck all this up. He's probably like, yeah, you know what? He's probably like, I've got John Carmack, who is a fucking genius, on my side. This dude has never missed. Everything we've put out has been the absolute top shit ever. Yeah. And it's never going to end,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we just put out Sgt. Pepper, and guess what? Boom. Magic Mystery Tour.
It's funny, like, I kind of viewed their relationship, and this is a very specific comparison, and sorry if people listening don't know anything about comic books, but it shows that Stan Lee doesn't always win. Like, John Romero is Stan Lee and Carmack is Jack Kirby. But in this scenario, Jack Kirby is the one that actually stays on top, that actually is respected and has a full career. And well, Kirby did too. But like the hyperbolics of Romero and Stan Lee in this case didn't. Because one of the things we always levy at Stan Lee is like, oh, he doesn't respect the artists and blah, 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 which, there's a give and take there. But like, it felt like he was cheerleading himself to the detriment of his co-workers or the people he collaborated with. Where here, like, John Romero's trying to do that, but he just keeps getting him into trouble, right? and the sort of head down, just keep working ethic of Carmack is actually what kept him sort of in a more sort of elevated position. I found it really interesting that like just a nice inversion of what we see in the comic book world.
Do you guys agree that maybe Stan Lee as an example, George Lucas as another? Do you think there's a curse to being an ideas guy?
That's an interesting question.
Kind of making yourself the public face of your franchise or your ideas. Are you destined to always have your audience turn against you?
No. But okay. So
Steve Jobs.
Here's where I'm gonna say my thing about John Romero in this particular. This isn't the full thing, but as we were going through parts of this book, especially the Ion Storm stuff,
yeah,
I was reminded of someone else who fucking infuriates me.
Okay,
you want to guess what I'm gonna say?
Are you going to talk about how Known Griefers shut down? Is this the story of how?
No. What are you talking about? I don't know. I don't even know what that is. What do you?
Patrick Rock, that motherfucker.
No,
isn't shit. Yeah.
It reminded me of Chris Roberts.
Yes.
It reminded me of Chris Roberts, a guy who has plenty of ideas.
Big ideas. Yep.
Some technical skills, but huge ideas. Very much smelling his own farts. And he got enough people to back him based on his pedigree. He basically tried to run a company based on being the ideas guy. They both kind of came into it with this notion of like, no, you don't need to lead by technology. You need the ideas guy at the front. That's who you need. And if you remember when Ion Storm first kind of got rolling, it was very much like a chill kind of like fun atmosphere. You were encouraged to like fuck off and go play games in the in the break room and just kind of like dick around for a while, because it was kind of like, well, this gravy train's never gonna run out. And with, you see the same thing with Chris Roberts and Cloud Imperium Games and stuff. And finally, you get to a point where it's like, you guys really needed a manager. Like from the beginning, the thing that you needed most is the thing you railed against, and the thing that you thought you were above and thought you were better than, which is you needed a boring ass person to be there to rein you in, because they even say right in Masters of Doom that eventually John Romero was like, yeah, no, you can't actually lead with the artistic design and try to have technology catch up. That actually doesn't work. But that was his like core idea for what infuriated him to the point of leaving id Software. Was like, no, we can't be constrained by technology. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, actually, that doesn't work. When it comes time to actually make the thing, that doesn't work. But he was like, so that to me is an example of him, and again, like Chris Roberts too, just kind of like being so far up his own ass with his own idea of what's the right way to do things, that he kind of like loses sight of why things are being done the way that they are. And I'm all for like challenging norms and questioning why things are done the way that they are, but it's like he didn't have anybody to stop him and go, hey, you dumbass, this is why you lead with technology, because otherwise you're going to spend a really long time on the design phase, and then you're going to have to play catch up the entire time and reiterating with technology. And that's exactly what happened with his like flagship, game when they were in Ion Storm.
Yeah. And not only like having that boring manager to tell them to chill out, but also like being willing to listen to someone like that. And the thing with Ion Storm is that bothered me is like, oh, he got to the right decision at the end. He was like, oh, this should have just been like a small group. We should have just been doing our own thing like we did at the beginning. Because what made id incredible wasn't the fact that they had a lot of money to spend. They were making a lot of money because they were making these small games, well, big games ultimately, but with a small team, with just a focused, and then like that's. Hindsight's 2020, but like Romero should have just gone like out of the id office back into the garage, and I think he probably would have had much more success there. Thinking small, thinking tight in terms of design and gameplay. But yeah, it's kind of a sad story, but it's a story
to me of squandered potential and squandered goodwill.
To hoist it on
Romero,
one's own.
If he played it more intelligently. If he just climbed out of his own ass for 10 minutes, like they could have been so successful. Like they could have done so much good. Like this is the guy who helped make Doom. This is the guy who, to a lesser extent, helped make Quake. Like this is the guy. Like he could have done so much. He could have done anything, and he fucked it because he's John Romero.
Can you think of an ideas guy who has not been defeated by his own hubris? And also, Rock, your point, why didn't they do this? There was so much potential. I thought about a third of the way through the book, I thought they both kind of ran out of potential because both of their ideas are just, hey, let's make Doom 2, let's make Quake 3. And then the other employees are like, man, I don't want to make another fucking shotguns and aliens game. Let's try something else.
Yeah. I mean, pour one out for Tom Hall. That poor guy kept on trying to get back to Command 15, and they never got there.
I know. He's like,
but also I was a little bit like, man, after you saw Doom, what on earth made you think you were ever going back to Commander Keen? That's a whole other thing.
He's the guy walking around the office going, meat morp. And then like I just see he's like, let's do Quake, and he's just by himself, meat morp.
Yep. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, I just want to, I just kept feeling like, man, Carmack is a genius, and he makes all these great engines. His fucking next idea is, make a Quake arena shooter. And like John Romero's idea is make another first-person shooter. It's like, why did you guys feel the need to split up and create these different companies and create all this drama? when you're just going to keep doing the same thing over again. Like, there's got to be another idea in there somewhere, right? Like, come on. I found that really frustrating, and it has nothing to do with it being a book. It's just kind of the way that it turned out. But like, I found myself frustrated at the end, where like these fucking dudes, like they definitely needed an adult in the room, and if they just had a mediator to sit there and do meetings, and everybody didn't get their feelings hurt, they probably could have stuck together and accomplished more things that were equally as progressive, revolutionary, yes, as Doom and Wolfenstein.
I think it's possible.
And they're just iterating their game over and over and over, and I feel like that's way less interesting.
And it did seem like John Romero was trying to do some different things at Ion Storm, at least with the projects that were in his office. Like it seemed, for all of its flaws, it at least seemed like Daikatana was trying to be a little bit more than what Doom had been, a little bit more than what Quake had been. And but yeah, I mean, to your point about an ideas guy who hasn't yet been struck down by his own hubris. I mean, so far the only person that I can think of yet, anyway, is Chris Roberts. I think that so far, at least in this iteration, Chris Roberts and what's going on with Star Citizen and stuff, it hasn't yet imploded. I'm convinced that it will, but it hasn't yet. So
Grim Reaper's watching over his shoulder, though. Right?
Holy shit. Yeah.
Who the fuck is that?
Sorry.
Who's this guy?
Someone
Hi, Pat. How's it going?
All this.
All right.
Pat, what's up?